Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Brendan and welcome back to the channel. If you guys are new here, it is great to have you. And Bitcoin is getting ready for a huge breakout. Now, Bitcoin has been consolidating for some time now. We've seen that over the last week to the last month, Bitcoin has been consolidating and really bouncing between the areas of $11,000 to $10,000. Now, with all this happening, we can actually see that there is a symmetrical triangle or a pennant forming on this 4-hour to the 1-day chart. Now, that's what we're going to be taking a look at today because Bitcoin is squeezing once again, and there is a lot of pressure built up in this guy because it is a couple months of this symmetrical triangle in the formation. So with this thing getting ready to break out and reaching the end of its life, we're going to be talking about whether this is going to be a breakdown or a breakout. So with that being said, guys, if you guys are interested, make sure you guys stick around for the entire length of the video as there will be important information discussed the entire way through. But with that being said, let's go ahead and take a dive on into this one. So Bitcoin has been very, very calm over the last couple of weeks to the last month. Really, since this initial breakdown that it had towards the very beginning of September, it hasn't been too crazy since then. Now, over this time, we have been consolidating from this level that I talked about earlier. And what I want to go ahead and do here is move over to this 1-day time scale because this is really going to show a little bit more on the macro of what this thing looks like in the grand scheme of things. Now, Bitcoin has had a phenomenal year so far. I mean, again, coming up, over 100% from its bottom of the year. It's having a massive rally. It hit new yearly highs just last month. And, obviously with this pennant being formed over in here that I want to highlight, this is not something that is too awful to see. Now, this is a critical pennant though. Nonetheless, if this does break down, I think that it could lead to the next bear market in cryptocurrency. Specifically, in this case, it would be Bitcoin, but I think that most cryptocurrencies would follow it. Now, the reason that I say that as a worst case scenario is because if Bitcoin were to break down out of this, a measured move would put this below the 200 EMA on the 1-day time scale, and it would also put it below the previous macro swing low that it had on this last attempt. So if what this does is actually make this break below the 200 EMA and below the previous set of support where it had last time, this would mean that this is a new lower swing low on a macro scale, and potentially that is the signal of a bear market because you should not have lower swing lows and lower swing highs on a monthly scale if you are in a bull market. Now, this, depending on how long that bear market could last, again, that's kind of up in the air because that hasn't even happened yet. But I do want to talk about the significance of what that could mean if that were to break down over here. So with this pennant actually getting towards the end of its life, again, pennants typically last between, 50 to 75%, and once they are about 75% of the way through their formation, they do tend to break out. And what we can actually see over here is if we move this back to the 4-hour, we are well into that phase right now, and so this could very well be signaling that we could have maybe one more touch point at either support or resistance, and then ultimately the breakout or breakdown. Now let's talk about the evidence that there is to both of these sides, because I think it's very important to look at a couple of things. Number one, if we move this back to the daily time scale, we can see very, very clearly that the volume has been falling off over here. Now, this is something that I talk about a lot. The volume falling off is a critical sign that a move is coming. So I just want to zoom out a little bit more over here. And again, we can see that the volume is falling off. We are at a very low level right now, which is telling me that the squeeze is happening and that we are getting ready for a big move because there's no reason why we should be at Wednesday at the end of a monthly close and having no volume. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. And again, that's kind of a signal to me that something bigger is happening. Again, the end of our monthly candle, there's nothing happening. And on top of that, the volume's extremely low and very subpar. So with us being in the middle of this formation with our last two touch points off of the support area, first one right there and second one, or in the two most recent ones being right in this area, we are very, very neutral. On this 4-hour time scale, we're just bouncing in between the 200 EMA and the 50 EMA. No real sense of like support resistance. It's just really hovering in this area. And so while the 50 EMA is a sense of support and the 200 EMA is a sense of resistance, if this 50 EMA can cross over the 200 EMA, obviously that would be a golden cross on this 4-hour time scale, but that hasn't been anything that is too significant as of lately. But there are a couple of other things that we can look at here. like the MACD and the RSI, and right now the 4-hour MACD is showing double bullish divergence, a very, very weak double bullish divergence, might I add. The RSI is extremely neutral right now, nothing happening on there on the 4-hour time scale, but if we actually roll this over to, the 3-day and the 1-day, what we can actually see is on this 3-day, we are rounding up towards the upside, and we actually survived some double bearish divergence, and since we have survived that, we are now getting ready to point back up into the bullish area. Now on this 1-day, we are seeing a little bit of double to triple bearish divergence, nothing that is too crazy or too clean or convincing, but there is a form of potentially triple, if not double bearish divergence right here that we could be looking at on this daily time scale. So there are a lot of conflicting readings. Again, the RSI is pretty much neutral no matter how you look at this or what time scale you look at it on. I think kind of the name of the game here is just playing this. I mean, this thing is obviously in a very neutral spot. It's in the very middle of this pennant. It's in the neutral spot on the RSI. There's conflicting readings on the MACD. Volume's dropping off. Obviously, there is room for this guy to go either way. And while pennants are typically one of the more neutral formation and continuation patterns, this is especially the case for this one. Typically, they like to lean one way. You can have pennants that lean bullish or pennants that lean bearish, hence why you get bull flags and bear flags. But this is one of the scenarios that I am very convinced that this is almost just a coin toss. Now, there's going to be people who are looking at this and saying, clearly, this is right in front of your face. This is obviously bearish, or the flip side of that argument and say, this is so clearly bullish. From what I'm seeing here, there is a very convincing argument, I guess, for both sides. One could say that you are bouncing off of this previous top range over here, and that this is a great move for the macro of cryptocurrency. And I really do hope that that's the case. One could say that on a more micro scale, which is more pertinent to this chart, we are rejecting the previous top over in here, and what was former support is now turned resistance on the more pertinent and local time scale of what we're looking at inside of this symmetrical triangle. Again, the argument there is for really both sides, but this is going to be a crucial time in cryptocurrency because, again, if this breaks out, I don't see any reason why we can't go back to new yearly highs, or at least the previous ones that we've already tested. And if this does break down, this could mean the beginning of at least a short-term bear market, as we would most likely have a lower swing high and or really just ultimately a lower swing low and a lower swing high. So that could be a little bit of a scary thing on that end as well. So that is about it over here. I just wanted to give a quick update on Bitcoin because, man, this is a crazy chart. People have been talking about it in the Discord a little bit. People have been going from short to long to short, and I guess just playing it safe and playing it smart. So there's nothing wrong with that, and it's super exciting to be able to talk about this in both YouTube and on Discord. So if you guys want to join the Discord, it's completely free. There's a link to that in the description down below, and I'll flash that up at the end of this video. But again, yeah, no strings attached there. But if you guys did enjoy the video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and say something down in the comment section. I love talking and interacting with you guys down there. But until next time, guys, I will see you in the next video.